If you're over 50 and living with diabetes, or even just worried about your sugar, I need you to hear this. Because there's something that millions of people eat every single day, thinking they're doing the right thing, when in fact it's one of the most harmful choices for your pancreas. I'm talking about a food that has been sold as light, healthy, natural, a food that is silently exhausting your pancreas, raising your blood sugar slowly over time, and leading many people straight into insulin dependence without even realizing it. I'm Dr. James Hill. I've spent the last 35 years helping people over 50 fight back against diabetes, and what I'm about to share is something I wish every one of my patients had known earlier. Because the truth is, most of them weren't failing, they were just following advice that was never made for their reality. Now, before we go any further, I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment below telling me where you're from, how your health has been lately, or what question about diabetes has been bothering you the most. I read every single comment and I do my best to respond personally. This channel was created for people like you, people who are tired of being treated like numbers, tired of confusing advice, tired of watching their health decline while being told it's just part of aging. I'm here to tell you that's not the full story. There's more behind this disease than most doctors will ever take time to explain. And today, I want to give you a piece of that missing truth, starting with a common mistake that is destroying your pancreas quietly every single day. Let's go back to something simple: breakfast. Many of my patients tell me they're trying to be healthy. They've switched from white bread to whole wheat, they add fruit, drink juice, avoid sweets. But then they sit in front of me frustrated. "Doctor, I don't understand. I'm doing everything right. Why is my sugar still high?" And that's when I take a deep breath and explain. Some of the foods that are sold to you as healthy are actually flooding your body with sugar, just in a different form. And your pancreas, it's working overtime trying to handle it, until one day it can't. Until one day that organ that's been holding the line just gives out, and then you're told it's time for insulin. Imagine your pancreas as an old worker in a factory, loyal, hardworking, doing its best to keep everything running. Now imagine that every morning you drop an entire pile of paperwork on his desk and say, "Deal with this, quickly." At first he manages. He's tired, but he pushes through. But day after day, year after year, that load gets heavier. He starts missing steps, making errors, getting slower, and one day he just stops. That's what happens when you keep consuming certain foods that overwhelm your pancreas, especially those hidden sources of sugar that don't taste sweet but act just like sugar once they hit your bloodstream. So what is this dangerous food I'm talking about? It's refined cereal grains. That includes many types of bread, crackers, pasta, even some so-called whole grain products. These foods break down into glucose rapidly, often faster than table sugar. And for a diabetic pancreas, that's like setting off an alarm siren every time you eat. But here's the cruel twist. People switch to whole wheat thinking they're doing better. And yes, it's a tiny bit better than white flour. But the difference is like jumping from the 10th floor instead of the 12th. You'll still hit the ground. And your blood sugar, it still spikes. You still trigger inflammation, and your poor pancreas is left to pick up the pieces.
Now, I don't want you to feel guilty. That's not the point here. If you've been eating these foods thinking they were good for you, that's not your fault. You are simply doing what you were told. I've seen this exact story play out hundreds of times. A patient comes to me, exhausted, scared, often ashamed. They say, "Doctor, I thought I was eating healthy. I don't eat candy. I don't drink soda. I just have my toast in the morning, maybe a little pasta at lunch." And they look at me, waiting for the bad news. But I always stop and remind them, your body isn't failing. Your body is responding to what it's been given. And now it's time to give it something better, something it can actually handle. Because diabetes doesn't mean giving up all pleasure. It means learning to stop feeding the fire that's silently burning your health from the inside. And that fire? It's inflammation, one of the most misunderstood enemies in the body. When you constantly eat foods that spike your glucose, your body reacts like it's under attack. That's inflammation, the same defense system that kicks in when you get an infection or injury. But here's the problem. When that system stays on for years, it doesn't heal you, it damages you. It wears down your blood vessels, your nerves, your eyes, your kidneys, and yes, your pancreas. And many of these grain-based foods, especially the processed ones, are like throwing gasoline on that fire. They don't just raise your sugar, they irritate your whole system. And over time, that damage adds up silently. I once had a patient named Roberto. He was 61, proud, strong-willed, always believed in solving things on his own. But diabetes humbled him. His sugars were out of control, his energy was gone, and he had already lost sensation in his toes. He came to me after being told he'd need insulin injections for life. But something in his eyes said he wasn't ready to give up. We started slowly, removing the daily toast, switching the morning cereal for eggs and vegetables, no more crackers in the afternoon, no more whole grain pasta at dinner. Within 3 months, his glucose dropped. Within 6, his doctor reconsidered the insulin. And 1 year later, he was walking more, feeling stronger, and he had hope again, not from a miracle, but from real change. That's the beauty of it. Your body still wants to help you. Even after all the years, the struggle, the setbacks, your pancreas may still be trying to fight. And every day you remove something harmful from your plate, you give it a little more strength. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to show you that your decisions, even the small ones, still matter. Every meal is a message. You can tell your body, I'm still with you, and it will respond. Maybe slowly, maybe not perfectly, but it will respond. And I've seen this too many times to doubt it. So if you've been eating breads, cereals, pastas, thinking they're harmless, it's time to pause. Look at your plate with new eyes. Ask yourself, is this helping me heal, or is it making my body fight harder than it needs to? Because even the most common, ordinary foods can become silent destroyers when eaten without awareness. And if you're diabetic, you can't afford to play that game anymore. Your health is too precious. Your time is too valuable. You've come too far to let a slice of toast decide your future.
Now, I want you to take a deep breath and truly hear what I'm about to say, because this might be the most important part of our conversation. For many of you watching, the idea of removing a simple food like bread or cereal feels overwhelming. But doctor, you might say, that's my breakfast. That's what I grew up eating. I understand that. Changing habits, especially after 50, isn't just about the body, it's about the heart, about memories, comfort, routine. I've had patients cry in my office when I asked them to give up the foods they love, and I never judged them, because food is emotional, it's culture, it's family. But it can also be the knife slowly cutting your health away. And if we don't recognize that, we stay stuck in a cycle that only brings more pain. When you eat that piece of toast in the morning, your blood sugar shoots up fast. And if your pancreas is already weak, and for most people over 50 with diabetes, it can't handle that spike properly. It's like asking a tired worker to carry a heavy load again and again. Eventually, that worker collapses. That's what happens with your beta cells, the ones in your pancreas that produce insulin. They get overworked, they burn out, and once they stop functioning, getting them back is extremely difficult. That's why so many diabetics end up needing insulin shots, not because they were born broken, but because their body was pushed past its limit, silently, for years. Now let me tell you something that might surprise you. Some of the worst offenders for your pancreas aren't candy or soda. They're healthy foods. Whole grain bread, low-fat crackers, bran cereal, even some diabetic-friendly granola bars. I see these in my patients' diets all the time. The labels make them sound good. They say whole, natural, balanced. But inside, they're full of starches that rapidly turn into sugar in your bloodstream. It's a trick, a marketing game, and you're the one paying the price. not just in money, but in health, energy, years of life. It's time to break that illusion and see clearly. One day, a patient named Maria told me something that stayed with me. She said, "Doctor, I used to eat whole wheat toast every morning, thinking I was doing the right thing. But I felt worse each month. I was more tired, my numbers kept climbing, and I thought the problem was me." That broke my heart. Because Maria isn't alone. Millions of people are living that same confusion. They follow advice that doesn't work and then blame themselves when their body keeps struggling. Let me tell you, if your diet is hurting your pancreas, even if it seems healthy, the problem isn't your willpower. The problem is the lie you were told. Here's the truth. When you remove these high-carb, high-starch foods from your plate, you give your body a break. You let your pancreas breathe. You reduce the constant need for insulin. And slowly, gently, your metabolism begins to calm down. Your energy improves. Your sugar levels stabilize. You start to feel human again. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens. I've seen it with my own eyes. And it starts with awareness, with courage, with the decision not to be perfect, but to be conscious, to choose what nourishes, not what weakens. And the best part? Once you start to feel better, you won't want to go back.
There's something powerful that happens when a person realizes they have more control than they thought. When you understand that the food on your plate isn't just filling your stomach, it's shaping your future. Every bite is either a message of healing or of harm to your pancreas. And I know this isn't easy. Changing what you eat means facing habits, cravings, routines that may have been part of your life for decades. But it also means reclaiming your health. I've had patients in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who made these changes and saw transformations their doctors never believed possible. Not miracles, just science, consistency, and a little hope. Let me share another story. A gentleman named Roberto came to me after being told he'd inevitably need insulin. He was discouraged, angry, and felt abandoned by the system. We talked about his daily meals, and guess what? Every morning, he was having a light breakfast, cereal with skim milk and a banana. It seemed innocent, healthy even. But that meal was flooding his blood with sugar first thing in the morning every day. It was a silent assault on his pancreas. We adjusted that. Switched to a high-protein breakfast, added healthy fats, removed the starch. Within weeks, his sugar readings dropped, his energy came back, and his confidence? That was the best part. He felt like himself again. So, what should replace those harmful foods? The answer isn't complicated. Real food. Food that doesn't come with long labels or fake promises. Vegetables, healthy fats, lean proteins, natural herbs. Your body recognizes these as nourishment. They don't cause wild sugar spikes. They don't overload your pancreas. They support healing instead of forcing your system to fight. I know it can feel overwhelming, but start simple. Change one meal. Remove one processed item. Pay attention to how you feel. That's how it begins, with one conscious choice, and then another, until slowly you build a way of eating that protects your health instead of attacking it. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this conversation, it's this. Your pancreas is not the enemy. It's not weak. It's exhausted, overworked, betrayed by decades of advice that simply didn't work. But you can support it. You can reduce the load. And in doing so, you might avoid insulin, avoid complications, avoid the fear that so many diabetics live with. This isn't about guilt or shame. It's about knowledge, about clarity, about standing up for your health in a world that often confuses profit with care. I've dedicated my life to helping people see through the noise. And if you've watched this far, it means you care deeply about your health too. Before we close, I want to invite you, with all my heart, to share something in the comments. Tell me where you're from, how your health journey has been, or even the biggest question you still carry about diabetes. I read every comment, and I do my best to respond. Because this isn't just a video, it's a conversation. a space for real people with real struggles, looking for real solutions. Thank you for your trust, your time, and most of all, your willingness to learn. My name is Dr. James Hill, and it's been an honor to speak with you. Keep choosing your health one meal at a time. You're not alone, and you never were.